All right, so let's go ahead and get started, guys. This is BPS Business Planning Success 101. It's business planning and time management, and we're going to jump right into it. So the first thing that I want you guys to understand as we talk about getting your business up and off the ground and rolling, which is what we're going to do today, is understanding real estate lead time. Just like, like I always talk about, if you were to walk into a car dealership today and said, I really want to buy a brand new car, but I don't like the car that you have on the lot. So I want to get one custom made. They're not going to have that car ready for you tomorrow. It's the same thing in real estate. I always say, consider it like the factory line of a car. It's going to take you a bunch of different steps and to go through a bunch of different processes to go from putting raw materials into your factory. If it was a car factory, that would be steel, it would be tires, radios, seats, doors, all that kind of stuff, to putting the things together to the end. So very much like a car, if you were to go into a car dealership and order, buying the real estate process for a realtor is about 100 days to get someone get the realtor from where they start lead generating to where they actually go to a closing. So today is the first day that you guys will officially be lead generating. And so we should be expecting in about 100 days for you to be sitting at a closing table, which is exciting, right? That's good news. Well, how does that factory work? And you can look across. You start by lead generating. Back to the car factory, it's like putting raw materials, having steel delivered, having motors delivered, having tires delivered, and wheels and radios and seats and all those things. That is your lead generation. If you ever stop, or the car dealership ever stops, and we actually saw this happen in recent history. There was a shortage of chips, microchips, and what ended up happening, the entire factory slowed down and cars became hard to find. Remember, you go to drive by a car lot and you're like, what in the world? There's 3 cars there. Well, the reason was the car dealers, the car makers didn't have the raw materials they needed. Well, it's the same lesson here for you guys. In lead generation, you need to be doing that day in and day out without fail. And that is what's going to keep those raw materials in, which are going to take you across this process that you see on this screen, which is lead cultivation and conversion. That's taking that lead from a raw material and turning them into a buyer or a seller. You then have them you either get them in an active listing. So you have their house in the market, or you get them in a home search. Then you either find a buyer for their house, or you find them the house and you go into making the offer and coming up and getting under contract. You then negotiate, back and forth till you find a price you agree on, and then you go through the inspection process. Then, of course, the closing process, which is going through mortgage and title. And this all ends at about 100 days at closing and payday. So the real key for you to learn from this is about how long it takes. When I talk to people, and so an agent comes in, and I actually just had this with one of our agents that came in, they had 3 closings in a week, right? So great. So somebody comes to me and they say, wow, that agent's really working hard today or this week. Man, they had a busy week. Well, my answer back is I don't know whether they did or not. What I do know is that they were busy about 100 days ago, 60 to 100 days ago. They were busy cultivating leads. I won't know if you're busy today for 3 to 4 months, right? Well, 3 months, right? 90 to 100 days. Because what you do today is where you're going to be in 2 to 3 months. I can't send you out today and have you come back and have a closing today. It just doesn't happen that way. That's why whenever we talk in this business, we always are thinking at least 2 months ahead. When we talk about what do you have lined up in your pipeline, which is something that we do as you'll get more advanced, I won't be asking you what you have, what are we doing for May? May's long behind us. We're going to be talking about July, August, and maybe even a little bit of September. There are three challenges that every realtor faces, and anybody in pretty much any business, but especially real estate. The first challenge is market seasonality. We don't have that as much in Florida. We don't get snow dumped on us for 3 months where nobody wants to leave their house, let alone go out and, try to buy a house in 3 feet of snow. We have a little bit of seasonality in the fact that snowbirds now are gone. They go away for the summer. But even with that, there are still plenty of people looking to buy or sell homes. So we're a little bit flatter on this one in Florida, but it is something that people talk about, spring buying season, which we're in right now, or fall buying season. Second thing is economic cycles. The economy is good. The economy is bad right now. People are talking, what's going on with the economy? We get this debt ceiling issue, all these other things. Are we going to go into a recession? Is the home market going to drop? Well, both of those things, market seasonality and economic cycles, are nothing that we can control. We have no control over it. I wish we did. I wish I could go out and do something that sparked the economy all the time, but you can't. Can you change what day it is of the year? No, the market seasonality is what it is. However, what you can control is the biggest challenge that realtors face, which is inconsistent lead generation. Here's how that happens. An agent comes in and says, I'm going to prospect. And they start doing the prospecting, right? They're doing the right thing. They're prospecting. All of a sudden, they pick up 3 or 4 clients. What do? They start worrying about those clients. They start going and start writing up, I got to write a CMA for this person that may want to list their house. I've got to find houses for these people that want to go look at houses. I got to make sure they're pre-approved. Let me get them with a mortgage person. Those are all things that need to be done, but never at the expense of your very first thing, which is doing what? Putting raw materials into your factory or lead generation. I'm going to tell you this right now, guys. Success in real estate is spending 3 hours a day, 5 days a week on the phone, face-to-face, or messaging, texting with someone having a legitimate real estate conversation. When you get so busy that you start doing this haphazardly, that's where you get inconsistent lead generation, and your income is going to go up, down, back, forth in all different ways. Unfortunately, most realtors fall into that number 3 category that you see in front of you. The top 10% of realtors, which is what I'm training you to be, never fall into this, because they know if I get up in the morning and I've got a closing, I've got a buyer's appointment, I've got to get back to a title person about another deal, and I have to make my 3 hours of calls, they know that the 3 hours of calls come before all of those other things, and they prioritize them and get them done first. Sounds weird. That's more important than going to a closing or going to a buyer's appointment or going to a listing appointment? Yes, it is. The most important part of your day is being on the phone, face-to-face, or texting, messaging someone about their real estate needs and getting appointments. Without appointments, nothing else happens. So let's talk about tools of the trade. First of all, you want to be prepared for everything. When you go to a listing appointment or a buyer's appointment, or you don't go to a listing appointment or a buyer's appointment, you go out to a social event, you go to a networking event, you go to a high school football game, you should be prepared at all times to either list a house or show a house. So you should have all the items for a listing appointment and a listing with you at all times. You should have a buyer packet ready at all times. That way, when you're sitting in the stands at a football game and somebody says, we were thinking about listing our house, and you say, well, you have a little time now, I can come over after the game. Oh, sure. When you show up after the game, you have everything with you to list that house, meaning you have a listing agreement. You may not have a CMA if you do it right there, but if you have your iPad or a tablet or a phone, you could put together a pretty decent CMA even from that, believe it or not, and do that while you're sitting in the stands. You need to have a lockbox. You don't need to have a sign because we're in a situation where we have a sign company that does that for you. But you have to have all the things. Be ready to get in touch with your person if you're going to use professional photography, or setting up the time for photography. Have it all together. Have all the items together including a contract for buyers. And we're going to put together packets, guys, a seller's packet and a buyer's packet that you guys are going to be able to have with you that you can just hand out, which is going to be really a nice tool for you. Have your laptop and mobile devices with chargers. Make sure you are always able to charge up. There's nothing worse than working on something and your battery goes dead. So have your devices with chargers. Have wipes and hand sanitizers. That is a huge part of this. And again, see Activity 1, we've got a full list of what the tools of the trade are. Setting goals for success. So the first thing that you need to do in real estate is create a plan, right? If I just tell you, which I just did, but I knew I had more to tell you. If I just told you just get on the phone 3 hours a day and make phone calls to who? What type of calls? What do I say? Well, that's all going to be taught to you in this 26-week course. But most importantly, how do I know that you told me 3 hours, but what if I'm a slow talker? Or what if, I take a lot of breaks? Or what if, there's a bunch of what ifs that could go into that, right? What you need is to know exactly how many real estate conversations you need to have in a day, 5 days a week, to be successful in real estate. So we are now going to work together and get you to know your number. What is your number? Your number, when we meet on Fridays in the morning grind and I go around, hey, did you reach your number this week? This is what we're talking about. What did you do that, do you need to call a couple more people? How can we help you with that? Did you succeed? Did you exceed your number? Fantastic. It is absolutely important that once you have this number, which you're going to have in the next 15 minutes, that you consistently reach your goal of talking to this number of people every single day. And we have a goal setting worksheet, which is Activity 2, which is what we are going to go over now. So just give me a moment. I'm going to open that up. And I'm going to share that screen with you. I'm also going to drop this into the chat box so that you have these. And for anyone that's taking this in the recording, please go to the additional materials. They are all there for you. And the first thing that I need you to start thinking about is how much money do you need to make this year? And when I say that, I mean including your bills, including everything you could possibly think of, money for your real estate things. If you plan on doing any advertising, how much money do you need to spend or you need to make, including all the money you're going to spend for personal expenses, for all of those things, to live a happy and contented life. So that's the first number that I want you to do. And you'll see estimated bills, desired savings, all these other things that are on there. Quite honestly, you can do this all in one sum, or you can build it out. And again, for you guys that are in the chat, all these things are here. This is number 2. So what I need you to do, and for you guys that are doing this live now, and for those of you that are doing this again as a recorded video, please take the time right now and get me number 8, my financial goal. How much money do you need to make this year? I'll give everybody another minute. It's funny, a lot of people know this right off the top of their head. Other people are a little more detailed about it. They think, oh, well, what if I this, that? And again, the biggest things is you probably know how much money you need. Add in whatever you need for real estate. So if you say, well, the board dues and all that stuff, that cost you what, about $1,000 your first year. Then what happens second? Am I going to do any advertising? If so, about how much a month? Those types of things. All right, so take number 8, your total goal that you need to make in the next 12 months, and I want you to go to the next page. In number 1, I want you to write down that goal. The second thing I want you to do is figure out the average sales price in your market. If you are in the Tampa Bay market right now, I would put probably, I always like to figure low on this, $375,000. That way, if you sell, some townhomes, condos, things like that, that would be your average sales price. Now, again, if depending on where you are, that number can change and fluctuate. And if you think you want to use a different number, go ahead. I actually have some people that will say, well, I'm putting 350,000 because again, it gives you more of a leeway into ensuring that you hit that number. So put your average sales price. In line number 3, I want you to put the average commission percentage. And this is per side, so it's only half. And considering that you don't control any buyers ones, I'm going to advise you to put 2.75%. If you control the listing, we're getting 3%, right? Or even more. But on the buy side, somebody says, I love this house. You can't help the fact that the other realtor didn't know how to negotiate when they went on their listing presentation and came back with a 5%, and you're only getting 2.5. So put 2.75 for number 3. All right, everybody's with me. Number 4, very simple. Multiply line 3 by line 2. So if you did $375,000 as your sale, multiply that by 0.0275. The commission is $10,312.50. And that would be what would go in line 4. Line 5. What is your commission split? Go ahead and put that in, whatever number. And that should make your number, whatever that percentage is, smaller. So if you were doing that 10,012, if you did that, you should, take a couple thousand, whatever it is, off. And that goes in number 6, your average commission per income per transaction. All right. So now that you know what you're going to make on the average sale, okay, 7,000, whatever it is, 6,000, 7,000, whatever that number is. What I need you to do is take that number. So line 1, which was your top number, was $100,000 the first year, whatever that number was, take that number and divide it by what you have in number 6. It's very simply going to tell you if I'm just going to make this real easy, if I want to make $100,000 and my average transaction is $10,000, I need 10 sales. Simple, right? That's what you would put here. Chances are your math won't be that easy. I just did that as an example, but that's how it works. So that top number divided by what your average commission is, and that's going to tell you how many sales you need to do in the next 12 months to be successful. Number 8. Number 8 is the average number of appointments needed to result in one transaction. We are going to put you in at a 50% close rate. So you're going to put, you know what, put in, let's do 3. Put in 3 appointments for one closed transaction. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take what you have in number 7 and multiply it by 3. And that's going to tell you for number 9, how many appointments you need in a year. So in my example, where I needed to sell 10 houses, multiply that by 3, that's 30 appointments I need in a year. Number 10, how many weeks do you plan on working in the next year? Don't say 52. You should take some vacation. I usually tell people to put 48. Take a week off a quarter. Rest, regroup, and get yourself together. Number of working weeks in a year. So put 48, let's say. So now you're going to probably get a weird number here. How many appointments do you need each week? So if I needed 30 appointments in a year, right, and I'm working 48 weeks, I need 0.625 appointments a week, right? A little better than an appointment every 2 weeks. So put 0.625 if that was your number, or whatever your number is. Don't worry if it's a fraction. Say, well, how do I get 0.625 of an appointment? Don't worry about it. You'll see this will work out in the end. And that's number 11. Number 12, the average number of prospecting contacts needed to result in one appointment. That number is 30. That's a given number. You're going to have about 30 real estate conversations to make one appointment. You see, guys, the math really isn't that bad. You just have to get in front of people. So let's go to number 13. The number of prospecting contacts you need to make each week to generate the income you expect is line number 11 by line number 12. So let's do mine. I was at 0.625. I'm going to multiply that by 30. And I need to talk to 18.75 people a week. Now I'm going to round, because I can't talk to 3/4 of a person. So we're going to call number 13 for me 19. So I need to talk to 19 people a week. So is everybody with me on that math to figure out? And this is the important one. As long as you have this number, we're good. Now we're going to move to the next page. The next thing we're going to talk about is what we call your double play. Double play is how many contacts you make every day and how many appointments you make every week. Well, you know these numbers now, right? You need to make, well, you know your number for, you know your other numbers. Let's get those numbers first. Sorry about that. So number 1, how many contacts do I need to make every week? In my case, it was 19. Okay. Put your number in there. I do not recommend that you prospect more than 5 days a week. I do recommend you prospect 5 days a week, but I don't recommend you do any more than 5 days a week. So I'm going to take my 19, I'm going to divide it by 5, and I'm going to come to 3.8. What does that mean? For me, I'm going to I'm going to go with 4 a day. I'm just going to up it a little bit, right? Because it's 3.8. It's close enough. That means I need to talk to 4 people every day, which winds up that my goal was, about 18, but I'm going to make my goal 20. So I need to have 20 real estate conversations every week. And what about my appointments? I'm going to need to make how many appointments every week? And again, go back to the goal projector on line 11 and pull your numbers. Mine was, I think, 0.625. What does that mean? That means I need to make an appointment a little better than every 2 weeks. So 1 week, I'm going to make, I make no appointments. The next week I make an appointment. Maybe that 3rd week I make an appointment. Then maybe I have another week where I maybe don't get an appointment. That's probably going to be good for me. 2 on, 1 off. It's actually, that'd be a little bit better than my goal, which would be perfect for me. So now you have those numbers. So that means I need to contact 4 people every day on my double play. And I need to make, I'm sorry, I said listings appointments. So I need to go on however many number of appointments a week, right? So what your number is from that, from number 11. And what I want to do is measure that. So one of the ways we're going to measure that is on Fridays, we're going to speak to this. And I'm going to say to you, hey, what's your number? Some of you all remember your number. I don't remember everybody's number. I get a lot. We do a pretty decent amount of these, and it goes over time. But I expect you to know your number and say, how many contacts did you need to make this week? 20. Okay. How many appointments did you need to go on? 1, 2, a little less than 1. Whatever that number is, guys, have that number, know that number, and that's your double play. And this is how you can judge. Did I have a successful week? Did I not have a successful week? And what do I need to do to tweak it so next week is a successful week? This is why we do Fridays. I know, for you guys that are new, you come in like, we just joke around and have fun. Well, no. And we do learn in there, we go through and learn from each other, and we talk about the, other things going on. But the most important part of that is for each of our agents to be able to speak to how they did making their double play. And now the last part of this is at the bottom, which is called tally every win. And these are the plays of the day. They're how many listing agreements you got, buyer representation agreements, which means just picking up a new buyer. We'll talk about that when we get to working with buyers. How many contracts you wrote and how many contracts you closed. And that is how it goes, guys. That is your number. Please now know your number, write that number down, have that number in front of you, and know your double play. So again, in my case, I need to talk to 4 people a day, 20 people a week. And really I had to get about, 0.625 appointments, which means I need to make an appointment, 2 appointments 1 week, or I'm sorry, an appointment a week, and I can have a week where I don't make an appointment. So basically every 3 weeks, I need to make 2 appointments. Let's go back to our PowerPoint. So now we know your number. The importance of consistently reaching that goal, which we talked about, guys. It's just, I say it again. I know I said this before we did the activity. If you hit this every day, you will reach that number. If you do not, 90% of realtors do not. If you do not, you will not reach that number. If you want to be a top realtor, be one of the best of the best of the best, reach your number every day. These numbers aren't huge, guys. I mean, look, what was the one I just did was 4. Okay. It's not that big of a number. Yours might be a little bit more than that. Usually most people are between 8 and 10. Again, I did mine a little bit different, but most people are between 8 and 10. So if you're between 8 and 10, it's not that hard to get in touch with that many people if you put 3 hours aside every day, 5 days a week, and reach out and touch, make touches. And we're going to talk about that too. What is an actual contact? Okay. And I used the word conversation before. I should have used the word contact. A contact is what counts towards your number. A conversation does not. A contact is someone that you speak to face-to-face, voice-to-voice, or we're in a new era, digitally, via their phone, by text, by messenger, etc. Now, there's important criteria that go in this. For them to be counted as a contact, you need to have their contact information in your database. That means it needs to go into MoxieWorks, Moxie Engage. They need to know you are in real estate. I taught you my 3-3 rule, my 3-3 rule. Whenever you talk to somebody, if you're in face-to-face with them, you give them 3 business cards and you say 3 things. You tell them your name, that you're a realtor, and if they or anyone they know has a real estate need, they should get in touch with you. Well, that's what you're doing here. So when you talk to them, you make sure for it to count, they need to be in your database. They need to know that you're in real estate. And when you speak to them, you need to ask both for their business and for a referral. The final thing is they need to be on an appropriate relationship building campaign. What does that mean? You never, ever, ever call somebody, and as soon as you hang up, not put in when the next time you're going to call them. In other words, you have to put in the next time you're going to contact them and create a reminder so you'll do so. So I saw my friend today. We talked for a while. I told him I was a realtor. I said, hey, do you have any real estate needs? No, I really don't have anything going on right now. We're happy where we live. Do you have any friends, or can you think of anybody? And if you do, would you please call me and get in touch with me with their contact information? Yes. Okay. Now I did the right things. Now what I need to do is run back, go into Moxie Engage, and schedule an appointment. That person had no real estate needs, so I'm going to only talk to them 4 times a year, but I need to talk to everyone I know for a minimum of 4 times a year. Had they had a real estate need or said, oh, I do have somebody, I got to get you their contact information, instead, I'd be scheduling to call them tomorrow or the next day. That's different. But for somebody that right now maybe didn't have any needs or knew anybody, every 3 months, guys, 4 times a year, every person that you know. I'm going to go to my client relationship management tool, to my Moxie Engage, and I'm going to put an appointment in my calendar to call this person 3 months from today. I'm also going to put a couple notes about whatever else we talked about. So hopefully I talked about, whatever was going on with their kids, their husband, their wife, their whatever. That's a contact. A conversation is somebody liked your post on Facebook. Great. What does that get you? Right? It might get you a sale, but it's not a contact for today. It might become a contact tomorrow, but just a like is not a contact. Bumping into a friend at the grocery store, at the gym, someplace like that, having a quick chat, it's not a contact. If you did all the things on the left, you could turn it into a contact, but if you didn't, you just had a quick chat. Mixing and mingling at a party, not doing the 3-3 rule, and having them, on a relationship building campaign and in your database doesn't count. Hang out at the gym, book club, ball game, school function, etc. Doesn't count. You need to have all of the things on the left. Again, being in their contact, in their database. They know your name, that you're a realtor, and that when you talk to them, you ask them for their business or the business of anybody they may know, and you have a follow-up plan in place with a minimum of calling them 4 times a year. Moving on. So now you start talking to people. Well, they want to know about you and your real estate. Well, it's important that you have what we call a value proposition. What is a value proposition? That is where you speak to the value that you bring to the table. This also becomes more important when you work with, when you call a client the second, third, or a potential client, sphere of influence, whatever, second, third, fourth time. So you ran into that person, you had that conversation, you put them in, and 3 months later, you call them again. Well, you can't just say the same thing every time, or they're going to stop taking your call. You have to provide them with things of value. And some of that value comes from who you are and what you are in this business. So Century 21 puts us in 3 places. Number one, you. What are the benefits that you uniquely bring to your sellers and buyers? Every person has a story that's in this business. Somebody maybe is an expert on 55 and over homes. Somebody may be an expert on selling waterfront. You may be an expert, and nobody knows the neighborhood that you live in better than you. Any of those things, that makes you unique, uniquely qualified, and you need to be able to speak to those things. So you need to start thinking about those things as you build your story. Second is Century 21. Century 21, part of the largest real estate holding in the world, 80 some odd countries, 150,000 agents, thousands of offices. Century 21 Circle, one of the largest real estate companies in the world, franchises in the world. Learn to speak to all the resources and tools that the Century 21 brand and the Century 21 Circle brand bring to you. The third part of your value proposition are the fundamentals. These are the basics that any self-respecting realtor, real estate professional would possess. Having the code of ethics, treating people fairly, using the golden rule, all of those things that we teach and we learn from our board of realtors. That's the third part. So this is the 3-part story that you need to start being able to tell, and you're gonna have to write for yourself. You want to put this together. What do I bring? What's my value? What's Century 21's value? And what's the value of the basic fundamentals? And as you put those together, it's going to create a story that you're going to be able to tell as you talk to prospective clients, as you talk to your sphere of influence, friends, referrals, networks, networking events, etc. Building your sphere of influence. So we've got a full training on this that you're going to take later. It's just way more in depth, but this is just an introduction to get you started, because your sphere of influence is one of the first places that you need to start picking up the phone. So if your number today was 8, guess what? Congratulations. When we're done today, somewhere between today and the time you go to bed, you need to get in touch with 8 people and have a real estate conversation. Guess what? Your sphere of influence is a perfect place to start. Sphere of influence is someone you know. It refers to every person that you know, and it includes, but is not limited to, your family, your friends, acquaintances, people you do business with, people you give business to, waiters, waitresses, members of civic and religious organizations you belong to, and more. People you bump into. I'm going to tell 2 stories that have happened to me in the last 18 hours. I received a message on Facebook Messenger last night at some point from somebody that I knew the name, but I didn't really know who they were. And they said, my neighbor's looking to sell. Would you be able to help them? As it turns out, they're a member of a organization that I'm a member of. I looked them up. I've only met them briefly, but I was friends with them on Facebook. And because of this type of stuff that I post all the time and then whatever, I'm getting a referral out of it. Second story. I was out of gas when I was out of ice. More importantly, I was out of my iced tea. For everybody that knows me, it was like my Wawa iced tea. I had to go to Wawa this morning. So I went to Wawa, and there was a girl behind me, and she had New Jersey license plates. So being from New Jersey, I said, oh, what part of New Jersey are you from? And she said, Pennsauken. And I said, oh, my dad went to high school in the next town over. We had this nice little conversation. She said, yeah, I'm going back, but I'm going to be moving here full time. What was my next thing? Do you have a place to live? Do you need a realtor? Oh, no, I'm thinking about actually buying a lot and building. Great. I'm rolling my eyes in the back of my head, but that's fine. I'll help. Either way, she now has my business card. I have her contact information, which is going into my Moxie Engage, and I'll keep a follow-up plan to stay in touch with her. This is all about your sphere of influence and building it. It's not just the people you know today, but it's who you meet and will meet in the future and can add to it to make it bigger every day. So the good news is, and I went a little over the top on that, and we'll talk more about that when we talk about sphere of influence, but there were two good stories that literally just happened. Even a new agent has leads because every person that I've ever met, and every person that they have ever met is a potential prospect or referral source. So anybody that you've ever met, even if you're brand new to this, even if you're new to this area and you don't know a lot of people, you should know enough people, or a couple people anyway, and continue to build and meet new people, and realize that every person that you see, from the person in front of you in the grocery store line, to the person checking out your bags, to your pharmacist, to the person that cuts your hair, to the person that changes your oil, all of these people are potential prospects and are people you need to build relationships with, and they make up your sphere of influence. So who do I include? I always like this: no versus no. What does that mean? I know this person. I met them, twice. Yeah, I know who they are. I know this person. We've been friends for 30 years. The word here, no, to be clear, should be used for every person you've ever become acquainted with. I know that guy. I met him 30 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever. That's the no that we're using. Any person you've ever even had slight contact with, and you want to add them to your sphere of influence. Even if it was a one-time casual meeting, get that person on your list. So getting started, again, in your breakout sessions, which I put in the chat, and for those of you taking this for the recorded lesson, they will be in your additional resources. You need to build an initial list beginning today. You do not need to complete a list today, nor should you complete a list today. This is a list that you're going to build from today through till the day you retire. You should take the sheets that I gave you and leave them all over the place. Put one on your kitchen table or your dining room table, put one in your car, put one with your computer, put one maybe in your bedroom. And as you're walking by or driving by or wherever you are, you're going to think of somebody else. You will see that one of the lists is blank, but the other list has a bunch of things on there. Like I said before, the person that changes the oil of your car, your mechanic, your dry cleaner, person that cuts your hair, your butcher, giving you ideas of people to add to this list. Who should be included? There it is. Activity 4 will provide you help to start forming this list. And again, don't sit down and try and write an exhaustive list. Just keep thinking about it. As you walk by, you're walking into the kitchen, you see it sitting there. Oh, I forgot my friend X, or I forgot the person that, my dentist, whatever it is, and get them on there. If you do not have their contact information, write their name on there so you don't forget, and go back and find their contact information. Most people these days, you can get a phone number and an email very, very simply. Remember again that every contact gets a plan. I went through this a little bit before, but we'll do it again. Add each prospect to Moxie Engage and to your Century 21 Circle Blue Roof CRM, or if you're only, whichever one you're using, however you choose to do that. Always add the person to the neighborhood news. That gives them a newsletter, and what could be a very expensive newsletter, if you were to mail these, it's like a market report. It sends it to them every month. Make sure you sign them up for your listing and sold announcements. Sign them up for an at-home newsletter. All of these things, if you have their birthday, sign them up for a birthday. The holidays, I always like to send the holiday ones out. Hey, don't forget to, when I say holidays, it has things like, don't forget to move your clock up an hour and that kind of stuff. It keeps you top of mind, guys. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep you top of mind. We're trying to do what's called anchoring, where a person thinks of you, they think of real estate, and cement the two together. As I said before, you schedule a follow-up plan based on the client. If you have someone that's looking to buy or sell soon, you get in touch with them soon. If you have somebody that maybe is just an acquaintance or a friend and they really have no needs and don't know anyone that has any needs, set them up for every 3 months. It's a minimum 4 personal contacts per year. One of them, if you know it, should be on their birthday. Just calling to wish you a happy birthday. Bing, bang, boom. Do your real estate reminder, your 3-3, and ask them if they have any good plans. Get off the phone, schedule your next appointment for 3 months. Even then, you can ask them, how was your birthday? It gives you that next thing to talk about next time you're on. Anchoring, I just mentioned it. Anchoring is a very powerful thing that advertisers do. So I always use the Super Bowl because it's, most people watch for the ads or whatever. You watch Super Bowl and they put on this $10 million ad. And then what happens? Right after the Super Bowl, you see that ad all the time, high frequency, right? They're playing that ad like every other ad. It's like a minute-long ad or even more. And then and they do that for what? A short amount of time. Why? Because they can't afford to do it any longer. But also because it would, and this is the bigger reason for our case, it would begin to annoy you. Okay. You can only see things so many times before it's like, my God, how many times are they going to show this? Right. Well, it's the same thing with you. When you start calling someone, you want to use high frequency. And what you want to do is, again, get in touch with them every other day, every day, every other day. Use calls, emails, texts, social media, and do that for the first 1 to 3 weeks. What you're doing, just like that advertising campaign, is you're anchoring that product in the person's head. So now that person is sitting there and they're saying, and you're top of mind. What ends up happening after that short time is what you want to do is drop back, just like the advertisers do. What do? They take the 60-second ad, they pare it down to a 30-second, then ultimately a 15-second. And instead of it being every other ad, it goes to every 5th ad, then it goes to every once in a while. But now, 6 weeks from now, when this ad is only 15 seconds and you only see it once a week, but when you do see it that once a week, what happens? In your brain, you think of the whole ad because they anchored themselves in there. The other thing that we have to do is, after we get through that short frequency in the beginning, is we have to provide things of value. If I call you every 3 months, and I say to you, hi, this is Bill Zeltman. I was just calling. How are you? I want to remind you that I'm a realtor with Century 21 Circle. If you or anybody you know has a real estate need, please call me. Do you have any needs? No. How many times are you going to take my call? You're going to see my caller ID and be like, this guy again with the same 3 things, and you're not going to take my call. So when I call you, I have to provide you with something that's going to excite you and make you feel there's enough value to take my call. So what is that? A market update. Now, again, I might be sending you neighborhood news, but I can certainly talk a little bit more about what's going on in the neighborhood or in the town in real estate. Talk about home values. I can share a home improvement tip, tips to increase your home value, low-cost decorating ideas. If it's somebody that's not a homeowner, talk about the pros and cons of buying and renting. Give them mortgage and financing updates. I used to have a friend, we used to work with HMOs were our clients. So we'd go into these big health plans and whatever. And sometimes we were dealing with decision makers that were, $500,000 to $1 million a year salaried employees. Their time was very valuable. And I had a guy that I worked with, and he always said, I like to go in and ask one good question, because that makes them feel as though, it was important they were there, because they would be the one to answer the question. He said, and I always like to leave them with one golden nugget. In other words, one piece of information, something they didn't know that's of value to them that they can take with them. I would tell you the same thing in real estate. When you're making these calls, ask one really good question. Maybe it doesn't have to be, it could be about their lives, this, that, whatever, something they feel good about talking about, and leave them with something that they didn't know before that, so that when they get off the phone, they're enriched by that call. They've learned something, they've something interesting, something whatever, something maybe they're going to talk about with their spouse or friends or whatever. Now they're going to take your call again and again and again. Daily activities, guys, this is huge. You need to understand your priorities. Get your priorities in line, right? There you go. You need to understand your priorities. They're priority 1, priority 2, and priority 3. Priority one is very simple and most important. You need to make contacts every day. If you need to call, if your number was 8, you need to get in touch with 8 people every day, unfailing. Second thing, you need to be meeting new people. As I said to you before, if you have a day where you didn't put a name into your client relationship management tool, you should feel like, man, something went wrong today. I didn't do something today. So you should be adding names to Moxie Engage or to Blue Roof every day. Make contacts every day, hit your number every day, and add names every day. This is the most important part of your day. I don't care if you have 5 closings today. I don't care if the mortgage company's telling you, if you don't get this to me by 12 o'clock, this isn't going to close on time. I don't care. Nothing is as important as your priority one, which is making those contacts and adding those names. Priority one should be a minimum of 3 hours of your day. Priority two is previewing properties, negotiating offers, assisting buyers in making offers and marketing listings, qualifying buyers and showing homes, and conducting listing appointments. All of this should be done inside of 3 hours a day. Now, wait, I've got a listing appointment, then I got a buyer's appointment. I'm going to be out for 4 or 5 hours. Okay, that's fine. As long as it doesn't cut into the 3 hours that you need for priority one. Priority one has to happen 3 hours minimum every day. If you do not have 3 hours of this, if you don't have any appointments, what should you do? Spend another 2-3 hours on priority one. It's not going to hurt you. I got in touch with my 8 people today. Good. Make it 16. You'll get an extra appointment. Oh, God forbid you have 2 appointments instead of 1 and you make extra money. The more people you talk to in this business, the more chances you're going to be successful. Keep moving forward with it. Priority threes, all of these need to be limited to an hour a day. If you have a real emergency thing, maybe 2 hours, but 2 hours should not be the norm. This should be done inside an hour. Manage contract to close. Paperwork. Talking to clients, that means, is managing contract to close. Engaging your social media posts. Checking your email, voicemails, texts. Conducting any market research. Developing local real estate knowledge. Guys, 1 hour a day. You need to be disciplined. Most people spend the majority of their time on priority 3 and the minority, the smallest amount of time on priority 1. I need you to flip that switch. You guys are new. So being new in this business, I don't want you to develop the bad habits of those people sitting to your right and left if you go into the office, or other agents that maybe you went to real estate school with talking about what they do in their day. They are wrong. The best, the top 10% of realtors, those making 100, 500, $1 million a year, spend 3 hours a day minimum on priority one, making those contacts. A lot of times they spend even more than that because it's like, hey, you know what? I made 3 hours. I did calls from 9 to noon. I stopped. I did some priority 3, took a little lunch break. It's now 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I don't have an appointment. Boom, jump right back on the phones. And what happens? You keep talking to people, good things happen. You make more appointments, you have more going on. So very important. This is one of the biggest foundational things I can tell you. I'm going to remind you of it over and over and over. We have daily activity sheets here in the office to help you with it. We just shared those in another training today. Make sure you grab those each time you come in. If you're not going to be in the office every day, grab them for a couple of days. You can take as many as you want. Just make sure you use them every day, and it will help you to make sure that you get your priority one done every day. Attitude and time management. So here's the question. Are you truly focused on your goals? We just set your goals, all right? Are you now ready to hit that? You know, no matter what happens, I'm going to talk to 7 people a day, 8 people a day, 9 people a day, whatever that number is. Are you excited and enthusiastic about your goals? We want you to go and have fun with this. If you go out and you're enthusiastic, it's contagious, and the people around you will be excited to talk to you. If you're on the phone or you're talking to somebody monotone, guess what? You're going to bore them as much as you're going to be bored yourself. So have fun with this and come out of your shell and really do this with your whole heart. Are you being or doing? Well, what in the world does that mean? Well, doing is work. Again, I got to make three hours of calls. Hello. Hi, this is Bill Zeltman. I saw your house expired. Why don't you come list with me? Which is, by the way, not a script. Don't ever say that. But you heard I was monotone and boring. Who was giving me business? Nobody. How about when I call a person, hey, how are you? Blah, 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 blah. And I get a conversation going. The reason I'm calling is I saw your house expired. Yeah, I was kind of surprised. Looking at your house, I would have thought it would have sold, but then I looked underneath and I figured out the reason why your house didn't sell. I'd love to get together and share with you what happened, blah, blah, blah. Now I've got an appointment. And it was natural. Being is natural. Doing is work. Being is natural. When you are being, your actions, your commitments are congruent. One of the stories I tell a lot is I was selling a marina some years ago for a guy, and I was actually at my marina where it was at a casino and we had a pool. So I was up on the 6th floor at the pool, and the guy called me, and I said, and this was a Saturday or Sunday. I said to him, I said, yeah, we got a couple people lined up, this, that, whatever. I said, we'll find somebody that wants to buy a marina. And a commercial realtor, a woman that owned a commercial real estate company, overheard me. She waited for me to get off the phone. She was half lit up, drunk. And I don't want to tell you where she pulled the card out of, hands me her business card and says, you're looking to sell a marina? And I said to her, I said, no. I said, I'm the broker. I said, but if you happen to have a client that's looking to buy, oh, okay. I just want to make sure, if I overheard you, and if you needed help, oh, thank you, Eleanor, blah, 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 blah. That was the end of the conversation. It was so natural to her that after probably guzzling God knows how many boat drinks and laying in the sun and whatever else, she had her business cards at the ready and was ready to have a real estate conversation at all times. That's being, guys, and that's what you want to be in this business. You're in a grocery store, always be listening. You're in the coffee shop, always be listening. You're at the local pub, always be listening. You're at the local diner. Listen to what's going on around you. You're going to be shocked how many people talk about real estate and how many times you can get in that conversation. Couple concepts of time management. Remember that it's self-management, not time management. You cannot manage time. What does that mean? If I could manage time, I'd be like, you know what? I need another couple minutes in this hour. I need this in our training earlier. I needed another 5-10 minutes. I didn't have it. Why? Because I can't steal time from 1 hour to move it to another hour to make it work. So I can only manage myself in time, which means managing my actions inside of time. I can't actually manage the time and move time around. Concept 2 is to always follow your objectives, not your crisis. Going back to those priorities, your objective every day is to make those calls to however many people it is. You're going to have every person in the world with every little thing crying, I need you right now. Oh my goodness. You're going to have a seller calling you in a crisis. You're going to have a buyer calling you in a crisis. You're going to have a mortgage person. You're going to have everybody. I'm available after 12. I make my calls from 9 to noon, so I'm available after 12. I'm not available before that, blow them off. Don't even answer them while you're in the middle of your prospecting time. Follow your objectives, not your crisis. Have goals. You already have goals. We just set them, right? So have those goals, set those goals, stay with those goals. Determine your next steps for success. What am I doing next? This is where I'm going now. Okay, what am I going to do in the next 6 months or the next 12 months? Always live to reach your goals. What happens then is it becomes who you are. You're going to get to a point when you do this, and if you're doing this right and you follow this program, talking to your 8, 9, 10 people a day is going to be like brushing your teeth. You just get up and do it. It becomes natural. It becomes part of who you are. It's also going to become natural that, again, when you're at the grocery store and you overhear somebody talking about, maybe thinking about moving here, that you automatically just get in a conversation. You're at a networking event, you're at your kid's baseball game, whatever it is. Consciously manage your actions to be in line with your goals. Or the things you're doing today, or the things that you did today, did they line up to help you reach your goals? Well, I was supposed to call 8 people today. I went to the beach. No, they're not, right? Again, is there a day here and there where you may need to do that and get a brain break? Sure, that's fine. But in general, you need to be looking and saying, are my actions in line with my goals? Are the things I'm doing going to get me to talking to those 8 people a day, to get me that 1 appointment a week or 1 week appointment every other week or whatever you need, which is going to lead to that listing that I need, or that buyer that I need, that's going to lead to a contract. And be committed to your goal. By being committed to your goal, it makes it fun. Concept 3 of time management. Time management is a system of organized activities. That's all time management is. It's routines. The best realtors do the same thing every day. And that's true in all 50 states. If you study them across the country, they get up, they do the same things every day. One of our top realtors, he says, first thing I do when I get up in the morning is I call 25 people. It's just part of his thing. That's his first thing of work every day. And not even including all his regular prospecting. He knows he calls 25 people, and he's made that a part of his routine. It's his behavior pattern. Our top agents do that. I was talking to another top agent. She does between 50 and 100 dials a day. And dials, not conversations, dials. And she was talking about how she does it. And she does it the same time every day. By doing that and having a system of organized activities, you will be living in a time management world and you will be successful. Remember that time can be invested. Time is a valuable commodity. You should invest it like you'd invest your money. Okay, I have 15, 20 minutes now until I'm waiting for an appointment, or I'm waiting for a kid to get out of school, or whatever it is. What are you going to do with those 20 minutes? You're going to play a game on your phone? You're going to scroll around on social media, looking at cats dance with rabbits or whatever they do. I don't know. Instead, what you really want to be doing is saying, I got 20 minutes. I'm going to make a phone call or two. That's investing your time. Now, am I telling you that it's wrong to look at cats dancing with, what did I say, monkeys, rabbits, whatever? No. Sometimes you need the brain break, and you need to be able to do that and balance yourself. And you need to have balance, which we'll talk about too. But sometimes you still have the energy and you still have the fire, and maybe you need those extra 2, 3, 4 phone calls. Take that 20 minutes and make them. Invest in activities that offer a positive return on investment. When you do that consistently, you don't do it every time, but when you do it consistently, you will see the results in the end of the day, because you'll do better. Concept number 5 of time management sounds counterproductive. It is not. You cannot do everything. You need to know your limits, and you need to, as I just said, maintain a work-life balance. There may be a time where you have 15, 20 minutes and you just need to scroll on a social media and let your brain go. No problem. Have work-life balance. Learn to say no. Learn to prioritize everything that you do. You will also see in all 3 of our offices, we have these 4 quadrants: urgent, important, urgent, unimportant, urgent, unimportant, and unurgent, not important. That is for you to take your tasks and put them in and see where they line up. This person is telling you, we got to get this done, and you're looking at it's unimportant. What does this do? How's this bettering my day? And you can throw that thing to the side or completely in the trash. So prioritize your tasks by how much ROI they provide. Concept 6 of time management: never, ever procrastinate. Do something as opposed to nothing. Picking up the phone and making a call is way better than just sitting there thinking about doing it. Get in and get your activities going. You'll feel better by doing that. You'll also see much better success. Stop thinking about it. Start doing it. Action creates momentum. Number 7, work-life balance is essential. There's 168 hours in a week. It's a lot of hours. So if you follow this, even with 55 hours of work, which I don't suggest you work that many, I suggest you work 40, but even with 55 hours, that leaves you 73 hours to sleep, right? And 40 hours for your family. If you reverse that, that'd be 50 hours for friends and family. Okay? 73 personal hours, that's sleep more than 10 hours a day. And you still have 55 more hours if you're working a 40-hour week. What's the problem? The problem is people waste so much damn time, guys. They waste way too much time. That's why you'll hear coaches if you hear other real estate coaches, you want to be successful in this business, you got to work 6 days a week, 60 hours for the first 2 years. No, you don't. Give me 5 days, 40 hours, but make sure you're controlling your time and controlling the things you're doing. Really, you want to be successful in this business? I want you to commit 15 hours a week to me to be on the phone, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. You're going to have to work more because you're going to make appointments from that, and you're going to have other things you have to do. But that's all I'm asking you. Give me 3 hours a day, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, and let all the chips fall where they may around that. You'll be nowhere near 55 hours of work, and you'll be a top 10% realtor. I promise you. Concept 8 of time management, create and keep a schedule. You need accountability. That's what our Friday's for. Create that schedule, give it to your family, give it to your manager, give it to a script partner, which we'll talk about those in a later training. Inform someone of what you're committed to and help them to hold you to it. Stick to your schedule as much as humanly possible. If you say 9 to noon is your sacred time to prospect and make calls, don't take other calls. Don't check your email. Don't check your text. Again, somebody's calling you that's not a callback from one of the calls you made out. Let it go to voicemail. You can call them back at 12:01 when you're done. Somebody tries to schedule something. Oh, we're going to do it at 11 o'clock. Sorry, I can't be there. Pick that time that works for you and make it sacred for your prospecting. It would make all the difference in your career. If you miss time, make it up immediately. I lost 15 minutes there because somebody walked in my office when I was trying to make my calls. All right, I'm going to take 15 minutes here back. Time management technique number 1, always continue to set goals. Understand that it's okay for goals to change and to evolve. What you want to do today may not be what you want to do in 6 months. You say, I want to make $100,000 a year in real estate this year. Guess what? 6 months from now, when you're kicking it, you're like, I want to make 150. No problem. Good. Change those goals. Let them change and evolve. Always be excited about your goals. It's being a real estate agent. Again, not doing it. It's more important to be committed to your goals than it is to actually reach them, believe it or not. Yes, we want you to reach your goals, but striving to get there is what's most important. If you lose your commitment and stop striving to get to where those goals are, you need to change your goals and stay excited about them. Use to-do lists. Create your list at the end of the day for the next day. Okay? I'm just writing in the chat because again, if you are in a situation where you write your goals the day before, you're going to be much more motivated when you get up in the morning to actually start them than if you get up in the morning and say, oh, what am I going to do today? Oh, look, it's a nice day. I'm going to the beach, right? Have the stuff written. You get up in the morning, you have your purpose already set, and you go and you get it. Technique number 2, focus on building your listings. I'm going to teach this to you later, but top realtors spend 75, 80% of their time trying to get listings. We work with sellers. We play with buyers. You're going to hear me say that 100 times. That is the key to a 6-figure income. The more listings you have, the more personal time you have. Buyers will waste your time. They'll make you spend hundreds of dollars in gasoline. They'll run you all over the county and then say, we didn't see anything today. Can we go back again tomorrow? Can we go back again over the weekend again? Can we go out? Whatever. Listing is usually one appointment. You get the listing. Maybe you run an open house and everything else is painless. Technique number 3, create a dot board. Use motivational devices. Put an image poster in front of you. Anything that you can use that's going to keep you motivated. I had a guy that worked for me in New Jersey, and he wanted one of those Harley Davidson Ford trucks. Had a picture of it there at his cubicle. When he went in and was getting ready to start making phone calls in the morning, and maybe he didn't quite feel like it, maybe he was a little groggy from sleep, waking up and whatever, he'd look at that truck, say, that's why I'm here. Pick it up and go. Keep your mind focused on what you're committed to. Technique number 4. Again, use a daily to-do list. One of the things with your to-do list, instead of crossing things out, when you cross things out, what does it do? It makes you focus on what you haven't done. Instead, I want you to use a highlighter, and I want you to highlight everything that you've done. And so at the end of the day, you're going to see all these great highlighted things, and maybe that one thing that you didn't get done's there, but it's not really what you're focusing your attention on. You're focusing your attention on your accomplishments. I put it again because it's that important. Create the next day's list at the end of the previous day. Technique number 5, delegate whenever possible. You're going to be able to delegate more and more as you get in this business. You might be able to get an assistant at some point. We have agents that have assistants, or you work as a team. Prioritize tasks, as I said before, from important to non-important, and delegate or throw away non-important tasks whenever you can. Technique number 6, take time to smell the roses, celebrate accomplishments, focus on the positives. During a tough patch, focus on what you've accomplished that day and what you plan on accomplishing the next day. You know what? I haven't gotten an appointment in like 8 days. But I talked to my 8 people today. I did it yesterday. I'm going to do it again tomorrow, knowing and trust the process. If you trust the process over time, you're going to have times where you feel like everybody you call is an appointment. You're going to have times where you feel like, oh, I'll never make an appointment again. It's okay. Never get too high, never get too low. Keep doing the right thing and never let negativity get the best of you, and you'll be successful. Technique number 7, schedule time for problem solving. You want to have, when, you're going to get to the point where you have 20, 30 listings at some point, especially as the markets shift. What you want to do is tell your clients that you are available from 12 to 1 or 12 to 2, Monday to Friday. And that's the best time for them to call you to talk about their listing. And the reason is because you're spending time trying to market their house and get it sold. And what you're really doing is out there marketing yourself and getting more listings. If you're in the middle of making these calls, and again, you have clients calling you right and left, and you have 20, 30 listings or buyers, you're going to have that many people, and they're going to just call you and annoy you and whatever. Here, if you limit it to, I'm available from 12 to 2, Monday to Friday, that person is going to understand that that's the time to get in touch with you. Oh, it's 3 o'clock. I missed them. I'll try them again tomorrow. By the time tomorrow comes, they realize what they had to say wasn't that important. Gives you more time to go out and get the work done that you need to do to A, get their house sold, but B, more importantly, get more listings. Technique number 8, work the house, not the buyer. Instead of taking one buyer through a bunch of houses, take one house and bring a bunch of buyers. Hey, I got this house. 3 of my buyers might be interested in it. I'm going to have one come at 1, one at 1:30, and one at 2. One trip instead of 3. Use brokers, open houses, caravans, and other models to sell the house. Never waste your time parading buyers to multiple houses. You should never show more than 5 anyway. We'll teach that in working with buyers in the future of how to really limit it. But realtors fall in that trap of spending so much time just parading around with buyers, and it's a waste. Technique number 9, the shiny penny list. Put homes in categories by the house price range. I usually do $50,000 price ranges, and I want to know the top 4 to 7, really the top 5 is what I say, houses in the price range. I usually ignore buyers' requests for style, bedrooms, etc. to a point, because they will always want to buy the house that they think they can get some the best bang for the buck. If I have a buyer pre-approved for $350, and all these houses appear to be worth $350, but this other house appears to be worth $375 or $4, just has a better perceived value, my buyer's buying that house, and so is everybody else's. If you take them to these top 5 houses in each category, this is why it's important you know this, and they don't make an offer, what makes you think they're going to like house number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? They're not. So pack them away, file them away, wait until a new shiny penny comes. Explain the process. I make it my job to know the best 5 houses in every price range in this town. And if you don't like one of these 5, everything else is going to be worse and in worse condition and smaller or lacking things. So if you don't like any of these 5, that's okay. Let's wait until another top 5 house comes on the market, and then let's go out then. The buyers will actually appreciate it. You tell them you're saving their time, and we'll teach way more of this again in buyer seminars, classes. Technique number 10, preview as little as possible. When you're brand new, you need to know the market. You need to learn the inventory. I get it. You can do a lot of that on the MLS these days with virtual tours. Once you understand the values of homes, don't waste time previewing the homes. That's time you could be on the phone making a listing. You make a listing appointment, guess what? You're going to learn values of homes because you're going to have to do a CMA. So it's good, and that's the way you want to do it. Technique number 11, always keep an idea pad. I use my notes on my iPhone. Have a system to write ideas down as they come to you. And then schedule a half hour a week to review time, schedule time to review those ideas. Some of them might be crazy, some of them might be actionable. The ones that are actionable, see if they are, and try to work them. Technique number 12, have an ad book. An ad book, it sounds like the old days with newspaper, but it's the same thing here now. I have certain paragraphs and things that I have written. They're also in my notes that I can copy and paste. That if I have a listing in a town and I get another listing in that same town or that same neighborhood, the ad's already written. All I have to do is change the address, change the price, maybe change the bedrooms and baths. The more you can do this stuff ahead of time and have things that are saved, you can reuse them or repurpose them in a little bit different way and save you a ton of time working. Technique number 13, improve your technology skills. You should know everything that every piece of technology that you have has. Every Century 21 tool, every Century 21 circle tool, your phone, your laptop, your iPad, every piece of technology you should know how to use each part of it and be using it to make life easier and better for you. Hire an assistant. You will know when the time is, and when it comes, use them to complete lower priorities but necessary tasks. Number 15, this is a great one. Do a listing campaign. Take the next 30 days and do nothing but try to make listing appointments. Do this a couple times a year, 4 times a year. 30 days, I'm not to do anything but just all day, pick up the phone and make appointments. All of a sudden, you're going to see your inventory or the number of listings you have increase. You're going to build that inventory. And then what do? Take a break. Go play with a buyer. Again, only show shiny pennies, but play with a buyer. And then do another listing campaign. And what you're going to find that you do when you focus like that, you're going to build, and your business is going to get huge fast. Technique number 16, move your desk every 6 months. Rearrange it, change desks with somebody else. Just gives you a fresh perspective, a fresh idea, and things like that. Technique number 17, have a purpose for each call. Ask what you want to accomplish from the call before you pick up the phone. I want to be at that person's door, having a listing conversation. I want to, schedule a free market evaluation, whatever those things are. Have an intense purpose and objective for every call that you make. Start with the end in mind. I'm getting on this phone call now to leave with an appointment. This will keep you focused and will reduce your time per call. Number 18, involve your family in your goals. If you tell your family, if I get 3 listings this month, we're going to a Broadway show, or we're going to Disney World, or we're going on a boat ride around Tampa Bay, whatever it is, if you set those goals, they're going to be in it with you, in the trenches with you. How you doing, Mom? How you doing, honey? Whatever, and get you going with it. Technique number 9, file your buyers by price range. Have, know who your A buyers are, know what their price range is. File for sale by owners so you know who they are and you can keep in touch with them and keep a dialogue going. And of course, keep your past clients in contacts and keep in touch with them. Most clients get out of touch with people after they sell them a house. It's a shame because 80% say they would use the same realtor again, but very few do because that realtor is no longer in their life, stay in their life. Technique number 20, farming, which we will talk about in a separate training, should have its own filing. We do this and for anybody that's coming on Wednesday, when we set up your farm, I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. But you should have your own category for your farm so you know that you have them separate. Anytime you want to separate them out, you can hit just whatever that neighborhood is or what that is. Also, keep your urgent business away from, future stuff so that you have what I need to do today and have the other stuff popped off. The other thing, I keep this on my computer in a folder. Anytime you have a tax document or anything, it's going to be a tax document. Create and maintain a tax folder and pop it in there. So the call to action is to get organized, create your time management plan today. We've created your business goals, get your schedule set up, manage your time properly. And next week, we're going to go through talking about listings and prospecting. This is going to get you started on prospecting. And my final words for today are, guys, you are in a situation where you now are accountable each day to make those calls to that number of people. We're going to give you scripts tomorrow, Script Mastery, 10 o'clock. We're going to work on scripts and things like that, stuff to say to people. Make sure that you follow those. There are scripts in the chat and in the additional resources. Thanks for joining us for BPS 101, Business Planning and Time Management Success, and we will see you on our next training.